Bitcoin was down again last night. What is going on? Let's talk about it. Okay, since the high on, I think it was October 6th, and a big sell-off in Bitcoin on October 10, it is now December 1, and Bitcoin is significantly down, I don't know, something like 25 or 30% or something from the all-time high of 126. So what is going on? Well, first of all markets are a process of price discovery. Gold, silver, soybeans, corn, diamonds, stocks, bonds, real estate, all of it is in a perpetual process called price discovery. That means at any given point, you only know what the value of something is based on the most recent time someone bought or sold it in the last however many seconds or minutes or days or hours or whatever. So Bitcoin's price is a constant process of price discovery based on everybody making decisions on their own needs, but also everybody making decisions on their anticipation of everyone else's needs. So right now, there's a lot of things going on in the global economy. For example, Japan, the economy of Japan is in a serious state right now because they are heavily indebted. The country of Japan is much more heavily indebted than the United States, and the interest rates on their bonds is creeping higher and higher and higher, meaning people are having a higher and higher concern about default, which is causing the Bank of Japan, BOJ, to do all sorts of wonky things with its currency. The U.S. is in the same place. We are heavily indebted. Lots of people are taking out loans, to basically just, subsist. So there's a ton of debt being brought on by individuals just trying to make things work. People financing, Christmas presents on, Klarna and all these, buy now, pay later services and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of cracks showing up in the U.S. financial system, and people speculating on how quickly is the Federal Reserve going to paper over those cracks by vast amounts of money printing. Well, first of all, QT, quantitative tightening, which is when the Federal Reserve tries to offset some of their money printing by sucking some U.S. dollars out of the economy in addition to the ones that they are pumping into the economy. Quantitative tightening ends today. So literally today, December 1st, the Federal Reserve indicated that they will no longer allow their balance sheet to shrink, is what I meant. To shrink. So right now, the Federal Reserve balance sheet is between $6 and $7 trillion. That means they have bought between $6 and $7 trillion of stuff with money they made out of thin air. That means they hold on their balance sheet mortgage-backed securities, government debt, basically a bunch of random stuff that they bought during COVID and a bunch of random stuff that they bought in 2019 when the markets for government debt and stuff like that temporarily started to seize up, and they printed a bunch of money in 2019 and then way more in 2020 and then more after that. So they have all this stuff that they basically make money out of thin air, and then they buy stuff with it. And when they buy stuff with it with money that they made up out of thin air, it pushes that money into the economy. Well, historically, to try to to try to stem the rising inflation, which is 3%, although if you measure it accurately, it's somewhere between 4 and 9%. In order to try to get ahead of that inflation, the Federal Reserve was allowing, when stuff on their balance sheet matured or whatever, they were effectively selling stuff off of their balance sheet to suck money back out of the economy, to try to tamp down inflation. But because of the economy is so indebted and it requires a constant stream of new printed money out of thin air, which devalues the value of your work and your money, if it's in U.S. dollars, they decided, because the economy is too fragile, that they're going to stop doing that. So as of today, the Federal Reserve is not pulling money out of the economy. They are only pumping money into it, which of course is inflationary, which of course long-term results in the price of assets going up, but wages not going up as much, which means income inequality is about to get worse, as it always does when the government prints a ton more new money. Income inequality gets worse, wealth inequality gets worse, the value of assets rises, the value of wages does not rise as fast, everybody gets angry, it's just bad for everybody. So the solution to that, of course, is Bitcoin, the one money that the government can't print more of. So why is Bitcoin down in the situation we are in? Well, Jack Mallers, the CEO and founder of Strike, Strike, who has a weekly podcast called The Jack Mallers Show, which is one of my favorite things to listen to, has the best explanation. One second. So Jack Mallers' explanation is he says, look, liquidity is tight. There's a ton of debt out there. That debt needs to be paid off with money that hasn't shown up yet. The Federal Reserve is just now ending quantitative tightening, and they have not shown up with the bazooka of new money printing that always happens when liquidity gets tight as a result of, bad monetary policy and too much debt and all the things that are wrong with the U.S. economy. So that bazooka of massive amounts of money printing has not shown up yet. If you'll remember, during COVID, Bitcoin dipped down to between $3,000 and $4,000 in March of 2020. And you would think, wait, if the world's all cracking up with COVID, why wouldn't people be buying Bitcoin? The answer is because everybody was panicking. They were panicking, worried that their business was going to go under, that they were going to lose their house to foreclosure. I mean, everybody was worried about everything. And when people are worried, they sell stuff. It doesn't make any sense. There's no logical reason in many cases, but people panic and they sell stuff. And when they freak out, they sell stuff. And that makes asset prices of whatever they're selling go down. Bitcoin is the most saleable good. That means it's the thing that's the easiest to buy and sell. You can do it, for example, over the weekend. So you saw a dip in the price of Bitcoin around 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time yesterday, somewhere around there. And the price dropped by $4,000 a coin. Well, why? Well, it was a Sunday night at 6 o'clock p.m. and someone somewhere needed liquidity, and you can't get it anywhere else. You can't sell real estate on a Sunday night. You can't sell stocks or bonds or diamonds or, all the commodities exchanges are closed. So you can't dump a bunch of soybeans or corn or gold and silver. All that stuff's closed. So what do you do if you're panicking on a Sunday night because you just realized you're completely upside down on everything? And you're trying to bail yourself out, save your house, save your business, save whatever. You sell whatever you can and you panic sell. The same way when a ship is sinking, people throw stuff overboard to try to lighten the load. They don't think about, wait, I'm throwing my fresh water supply overboard. I'm throwing my food supply overboard. They just throw whatever overboard is going to save the ship. And then after they save the ship, then they worry about, wait a second, we don't have any water. We don't have any food. We threw the really important stuff overboard, and we still have this worthless cargo. They just don't think about that. Because when people panic, they do stupid stuff. And people sell what they can, not what they want to. So Bitcoin sold off last night. So the other major reason driving all of this is because Bitcoin historically has gone through 4-year cycles where there's 3 up years and then a down year, 3 up years and then a down year. And people have been predicting a long time that pattern will stop, because at this point, with the size of Bitcoin, does not make any sense for that pattern to continue. But there's too many people speculating that it still will. So there's a lot of people selling Bitcoin that started selling Bitcoin in early to mid-October, planning to buy it back later, which, as I've explained a million times, is a stupid strategy. Don't do that. People almost always get burned when they try to do that. They time it wrong. They sell at the wrong time. They buy at the wrong time. They miss the run up. People just mess it up all the time. But historically, if you look at past cycles, you could have made more money doing that. Even though, again, you should not ever base your future investing based on a pattern you noticed in the past. For example, if you notice that the stock price of something is always down on a Friday and up on a Monday, and so you decide, okay, well, I'm going to sell it on a Thursday and then buy it on the Friday, that way I can be up on a Monday. It's like, well, that pattern works until it stops working. And as soon as you notice that pattern, everyone else notices that pattern, and then it stops working because everybody tries to do the same thing, which is why markets are a process of price discovery, because everybody is trying to figure out all the time, what is this thing worth to me and what is it worth to everyone else? So even the US dollar is constantly being traded. The US dollar index, the DXY, you can go look at it, pull it up on the stocks app on your phone, DXY as in dollar, X as in exchange, Y is in, I'm not sure why it's Y, DXY. Pull up DXY on your stocks app on your phone and you will see the US dollar index, which is the index of the value of the US dollar as compared to other major currencies. it is constantly going up and down by small amounts. Now, the US dollar is the world reserve currency already. So when it goes up and down, it goes up and down in very small increments. Although over the course of 6 months or a year, it can be up or down 10%. Now, people think the US dollar is stable. No, like the US dollar earlier this year was down 10% compared to other currencies. That's a major fluctuation by the world reserve currency to have the US dollar be down 10% in value as compared to the, Japanese yen, the Chinese yuan, the euro, the British pound, etc. But anyway, so all of these things are a process of price discovery. So people are trying to predict what other people are going to do. So people are thinking, hey, if Bitcoin goes up 3 years and down, the next year, if the pattern continues, maybe 2026 will be a down year. Maybe they want to get ahead of that. Now, I would argue that's not the case because 2026 was not this huge blow off, radical up year the same way 2013, 2017, and 2021 was. So, there's no reason to believe that 2026 and 2025 has absolutely not followed the historical pattern. So if 2025 is totally not following the historical pattern, why would you think 2026 is going to follow the historical pattern? In fact, because 2025 has been mostly a flat year, that would predict 2026 is going to be a massive up year. But again, people just don't think clearly. So in times like this, you have to go back to the fundamentals. And so we're going to do a recap of fundamentals, even though I've done that, a gazillion times on 500 different videos that I've done. Let's do a recap of the fundamentals. 1 second. All right, here's a recap of the fundamentals. 1, do humans need money? Is money something we're going to use to exchange for stuff so we don't have to barter? So you don't have to ask your employer to be paid in a new pair of tennis shoes and a new iPhone and all that sort of stuff. Yes, we're going to use money. A modern economy is going to use something for money. All right, what makes a good money? A good money has at least 6 characteristics. It is divisible, durable, portable, fungible, verifiable, and most importantly, scarce. Good money is scarce. What do we know about gold and things like that? They're not divisible. They're not authenticatable. They're difficult to transport. Gold does not work as money, which is why it's historically, every time we've ever tried the gold standard, it's ultimately broken down because gold doesn't work as money. And so we use paper or something to represent gold. And then whoever controls the production of that paper that represents the gold makes too much of it, which is what's happened every time the gold standard's ever been used. It's whoever controlled the exchange of the paper that represents the gold, and the gold has cheated the system and rug pulled everybody. So you can't use gold in modern commerce, and you can't use a representation of gold in modern commerce because whoever controls the representation of that gold is going to make too much of it. They always do. All right, so you need something that's divisible, durable, portable, fungible, verifiable, and scarce. You need something that's got those characteristics that you can use as money. Now, what has those characteristics? Well, it just so happens that Bitcoin was invented as the perfect money with those 6 characteristics in perfect form. Not only that, unlike every other money, that it is both scarce and you can send it across the internet. You cannot send the US dollar. Sorry, let me back up here. I think I am on the wrong route, but I am going to hope for the best here. Oh, well. Okay. You cannot send the, gold across the internet. You can send the US dollar across the internet, but again, the US dollar is not scarce. So Bitcoin was invented to be the perfect money. It has all the attributes of an ideal money. It was literally invented as the future of money. And it's just a matter of time until it is fully monetized, meaning it's only a matter of time until everyone around the world uses Bitcoin as their primary money. Why? Because it will outcompete every other form of money. Just as in the past, everything that has better monetary properties eventually outcompetes the thing that has poorer monetary properties. Ultimately, the portability and divisibility of gold and the verifiability, authenticatability of gold was so bad that the US dollar replaced gold. Not because it was more scarce, because it was more usable in modern commerce. Ultimately, Bitcoin is both usable in modern commerce and it's scarce. So it is in the process of outcompeting every other money. So in that process, which will take a lot of time, it's already been 17 years since Bitcoin was invented. It took a couple years before it was even used as money at all. even though that's what it was invented to be before an economy built around it where people were trading goods and services for Bitcoin. It took a little while for that to get going, but that is well on its way. Bitcoin is being used as money every day. Square payment terminals, the people who control Square payment terminals now have the ability, as of 2 weeks ago, to turn on the ability to accept Bitcoin payments natively, not with a debit card, not with a credit card, but straight up Bitcoin, straight from River, straight from Coinbase, straight from Cash App. You can pay natively in Bitcoin. So the ability of that all got turned on about 2 weeks ago. For merchants to turn it on the back end, they still have to go flip it on the back end. But anyway, all of the things are falling in place for Bitcoin to be the future money of the world, and it slowly is becoming the future money of the world. Now, there's still people out there saying, "Well, Bitcoin's a scam." Seriously, like, the largest money managers in the world are recommending to their clients. The state of Texas just bought $10 million of Bitcoin for their strategic Bitcoin reserve. Like, you're telling me the entire state of Texas just got scammed? Come on. Like, we're so far past that. We are so far past that. It's just absolutely insane. But again, people learn slowly. People adopt technology slowly. It will take time. So why is Bitcoin down? Liquidity is tight. People are massively over leveraged. We're in the process of price discovery. There's way too many people trying to figure out if they're going to try to time the 4-year cycle. And it's just, you just got to wait it out. So what do you do in a time like this? You buy more Bitcoin. Ultimately, if you're using Bitcoin as money in the early stages of Bitcoin adoption, that means you're either actively using it or you're accumulating more of it to use in the future. Well, now is the time to accumulate. Bitcoin is on sale. It is a perfect time to buy as much Bitcoin as you possibly can at $86,000 per coin. When you're spending it at $150,000 per coin, it's going to feel amazing. But again, you got to have the Bitcoin to start with before you can spend the Bitcoin. And the best time to buy Bitcoin is when everybody's scared, when it's in this process of price discovery. People are doing stupid stuff, trying to time markets, and it's only a matter of time until it goes up and then way up. It's just the same way it always is. So now is a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin. Nothing's wrong with Bitcoin. The Federal Reserve will print a ton of money, as they always do. As of literally today, they stopped sucking money out of the economy so that they're only pushing money into it without pulling any out of it, which is very inflationary. It's going to result in significant inflation. It's going to result in significant increase in asset prices, but not wage prices, primarily asset prices, which means wealth inequality, income inequality is going to go up. People are going to be mad. And the question is, are you going to be on the wrong or the right side of that transition? Right now is a fantastic time to adopt Bitcoin way ahead of the rest of the world. And as the Federal Reserve continues to be irresponsible, as every central bank that's ever existed has been, as the world is perpetually irresponsible, you can be a responsible one transitioning to the new money. Eventually, Bitcoin will benefit everyone. Everyone who transitions to Bitcoin ends up eventually better off. Even the very last person in the entire world that buys Bitcoin instead of US dollars will end up better off. They just will end up slightly better off instead of radically better off. When you're adopting Bitcoin before 95% of the world right now, you can end up radically better off with Bitcoin as opposed to just moderately better off because you have sound money. Right now, you can have sound money and a massive increase in the purchasing power of your money in addition to just better money. In the long run, when the world has fully adopted Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin will go up by about 3% per year. And that's because humans get about 3% better at making stuff per year. And so even when Bitcoin is fully adopted worldwide, the value of all the goods and services you can buy with Bitcoin will rise at about the total value of all the goods and services that could be used, that could be bought with Bitcoin will go up by about 3% per year because humans make about 3% more stuff per year. So, when you're buying stuff with scarce money and the stuff is increasing about 3% per year and the money is not, your purchasing power of your dollars or your Bitcoin in this case, your money goes up by about 3% per year. Great time to buy Bitcoin at a time like this is a fantastic time to accumulate. If you have a bunch of Bitcoin you bought at a lot cheaper prices, great, good for you. If you didn't, then accumulate Bitcoin now that you plan to spend later. And in the long run, you'll end up way better off. So I'm here if you need anything. always available. Call me, text me, email me. I'm here to help you on your Bitcoin journey. It's a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin. Nothing's wrong with Bitcoin. Long term, Bitcoin will be way, way, way up. Look, maybe it's days, maybe it's weeks, maybe it's months. I don't know. But Bitcoin will be way up because it is a fundamentally better money. And that's what you are investing in. You're investing in the fundamental properties of divisible, durable, portable, fungible, authenticatable, and most importantly, scarce. You are investing in the fundamental properties of a sound money, and that sound money always eventually outcompetes everything else. That's been the case throughout history. Gold, glass beads outcompeted seashells, and then silver outcompeted glass beads, and then gold outcompeted silver, and then ultimately paper money outcompeted gold because it was easier to use. Now we have something that's both scarce and easy to use in the form of Bitcoin. It's fantastic new money for the future. Buy as much of it as you can. Now it's on sale. No better time to buy anything than when it's radically on sale. So I'm here to help you on your journey. Let me know if there's anything you need. Thanks.